Our meeting to order. I do want to recognize Mayor J.B. Whidden, who's here with us tonight, as well as Chief Bates from the Fort Walton Police Department. Thank you for being with us. So we do have no changes to the agenda, but we have a public hearing at 6:15. So at 6:15, we will reconvene after that to hear 15.1 Revised School Board Policy Chapter 11. So that brings us to Section 3, one of our most...
I'll move the agenda, Madam Chair.
I'll second
Thank you,
it.
Dr. White.
And I'll second it.
Thank you. Seconded by Mr. Bryant. So moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that carried unanimously. Thank you, Mary. So that brings us to 3 now, our recognitions. And 3.1 is recognition of the winners of the Pedestrian Safety Poster Contest held by the Healthy Communities Okaloosa County Health Improvement Partnership, or OCHIP, presented by Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Madam Chair and School Board. As you know, it was a little bit ago that we looked at the Pedestrian Month, which was the month of October. And I can think back to, I think it was the July timeframe, and Mayor J.B. Whidden came to our office and he said, hey, I'd really like to do this program in honor of this month. And so, as you can imagine, when the mayor comes, he's quite convincing, and for a good cause. And I do want to say that he and Chief Bage over in Fort Walton Beach Police Department, they really led up this effort, but across the district as well, across our county. And there were several different areas where students could be recognized for these posters, and there was a committee's choice award. There was an elementary, middle, and high school award as well. And again, when you can get the community partnering with the school district, that's always a great thing, especially when it deals with the safety of kids. But Mayor and Chief, if you would come on up. And I think they might have a few words before we give out a few different plaques.
This is going to shock you. I don't have anything to say.
I don't believe you, Mayor.
I just,
Come on.
I just get the whole thing. It's just a spokesperson right here. Take it away, Chief.
Yeah, the mayor said we only had a few words, so I got opted in to be the speaker tonight. So I would like to thank Marcus Chambers for introducing the OCHIP. And in the OCHIP, we have a healthy community group. In the healthy community group, we have 3 goals: affordable housing, reduction of drug overdoses, and injury reduction. Within the injury reduction category, there are 2 subcategories: slip and falls for the 65 and plus population, and then also pedestrian injury reduction. In the state of Florida, ranked first for pedestrian deaths and fatalities for bicyclists and pedestrians. In Okaloosa County, from 2020 to 2022, we had 31 fatal crashes involving pedestrians or bicyclists. We had 479 pedestrian crashes and 65 serious bodily injury crashes within Okaloosa County. So this is definitely something that affects the whole community. And one of the things we wanted to do was collaborate between the cities, the school board, and the county. And this is probably one of the first projects, at least in very recent times, where we had this overwhelming level of collaboration. And the mayor has certificates here that are signed by each mayor in the county. And me and him were talking before the meeting. We think this is probably the first time, at least in many, many years, that this is the first certificate that will be signed by every single mayor in Okaloosa County. So if you're fortunate enough to win one of these certificates, it is definitely a commemorative certificate that you probably want to hold on to. In addition to the certificate, you get this lovely Fort Walton Beach Police mug, t-shirt, and you had a $100 gift card, which is now only $95 because there is a $5 service charge, unfortunately, by MasterCard. So we have these prizes we'd like to give out, and without anything else, I'd like to call up the winners. So the first winner is from elementary school. It is Isabel Wesber from the Northwest Ballet Academy.
Give me one more minute and I'll find it.
Yes, ma'am. I was looking for, and I hedged my bet when I came here, so I brought small, medium, large, and extra large shirts. So you get the small one, and then you get the commemorative certificate right here signed by all the mayors. And then we also made you a small refrigerator-sized picture of your poster to hang up so you can remember this occasion. And when you grow up, we gave you the mug and the Fort Walton Beach Police Department police shirt. We would love to have you come work with us at the police department. And you want to turn for your photo? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All right. Congratulations to you. That is super. We're gonna run out of hands. All right.
And then for middle school, we have Olivia Skopek from this Okaloosa STEM Academy.
All right.
Chief, you can't have that one. She's my student.
Oh, we'll take her too. I mean, we're always looking, so if you're more than interested, just fwb.org, check us out. High school, Anna Ship, and she's from the Crestview.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All
And
right.
you'd like to introduce you to from the best police department? For Walt Disney World.
Just stay close.
And then we have our Committee's Choice Award, which this was a collaborative project from the class, and it goes to Richburg School.
Well, where's your school? Crestview, I think?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. All right.
We thank you. Well, thank you very much.
As we're wrapping this part up, I do want to say the Okaloosa Health Department also partnered with it, and with this, thank you, Ms. Smith, and also the Sheriff's Department. So thank you, and we do have representatives from Crestview here tonight. Ms. Hayden, we have folks from the STEM Academy as well, so just appreciate administration being here to support your students, so thank you.
And that brings us to 3.2, another recognition. Recognition of Noah Hall from Plough Elementary. He's a student winner of the 2023 State of Florida Hispanic Heritage Essay Contest. And this also is presented by the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And what folks may or may not know is that oftentimes there are different state awards that students all across the state have the ability to apply for. And not oftentimes do students necessarily win the overall top award. And we are blessed that here in Okaloosa, we have a student at our elementary, Miss Nora Hall, a fifth grader at Plough Elementary, who was recognized by Governor DeSantis and First Lady DeSantis as a 2023 Hispanic Heritage Essay Contest winner. And I have to say, the pictures that we saw online were absolutely amazing. And we're going to ask Nora in a few moments to share just a little bit of her experience, but I had the opportunity to meet Nora's parents right before the meeting, and what we will learn as Abuela here in a few moments. But Nora, I want you to know that you think about all the students across the state of Florida, and there's a whole bunch of them. And out of all of them, all those essays that were read, yours stood out, and just absolutely appreciate what you've done I know that you had a lot of support from your family, but also from Plu, and appreciate Plu being here as well today to support Nora. So Nora, if you would come forward, and let's give her a nice round of applause. Say again. You, you're so polite. For this piece, just come on up to the microphone, and you can face this way to start.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Nora Hall.
You
I
can move
am-
the microphone.
Hold on.
There.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nora Hall. I am very honored for this time and opportunity by this 2-year scholarship one. It was very shocking and surprising and awesome, but I could have not done it without my grandparents and parents. Thank you.
No. So you wait right there. So a couple things in case we missed it. A 2-year scholarship, so that's pretty amazing. And we have a plaque for you, and then we also have a district coin for you that not many folks have received yet. And this is for you, young lady. So if your family would come forward, Plu would come forward, and Dr. Kelly, if you'd come with me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And you too, Dad. Thank you.
So that would bring us to Section 4, Administrative Personnel Appointments, and tonight we have none of those, which is a rarity. We wish we did. We enjoy those as well. I think we'll give a little pause and let those who want to exit. Thank you for being here. That was such a lovely presentation. And that brings us to 6:15, and we do have one public hearing this evening, so if we'll scroll down, colleagues, to 15.1. We'll consider our public hearing for adoption of revised school board policies, Chapter 11, School District Facilities, presented by Steve Horton, Deputy Superintendent, and recommended by the Superintendent for approval. Is there anyone here this evening to address that item? 15.1.
You have a card, do you have a blue card for that item?
Do I have a blue card for 15.1? I don't see anyone asking to address 15.1.
Okay.
None, Mary? All right. Seeing none, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Moved by Ms. Gardner. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bryant. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carried unanimously. So scrolling back up to Section 5, I believe now. So now we're at Section 5, Public Comment, Agenda Items Only, the blue card versions. And I see we do have some of those. Thank you. So the first one I have is Kara Marion, and to address 8.6. Ms. Marion, if you'd come forward.
I believe 8.6 is teacher discipline from the agenda, so that's why I'm addressing this under here. It's in regard to Coach Cody Martin, who is a coach at Niceville High School, who was reported for being on the school campus and doing his duties while he was on suspension, a 3-month suspension from the Department of Education. I was the one that notified Charlie Morello, the principal of Niceville High School, that he was on campus after various citizens had reported to me and even sent me pictures of him being on campus. So in doing so, Mr. Morello did confirm in that email that same day that I sent on the 6th of June that he was on campus and that he shouldn't have been on campus. So that makes me aware that at least the principal knew that he wasn't supposed to be on campus. The part that I really want to address today, moreover, is I asked to follow up with Charlie Morello for what was done about that, because part of this teacher's discipline was that if he violated his suspension, that there would be further discipline. There was no further discipline. What happened was on the 14th of September, I emailed Charlie Morello back and I asked him for a follow-up, whatever happened with it. Sadly, what ended up happening was on that same day, I did a public records request. I did it of Okaloosa County School District. That was on the 14th of September. Nobody has responded to my public records request. I then did a public records request with the Department of Education that same day on the 14th of September. And on that day, the Department of Education got right back to me, and they told me how much it would be for me to get the 536 pages that they had regarding the public records request that I was doing. I really appreciated their promptness. On top of that, I didn't hear from anybody until the 19th of September. I got an email back from Charlie Morello. He said, "Good afternoon. The resolution on the employee matter that you asked about is in the attachment in the email below." I'm being emailed from the principal teacher discipline records. I wasn't getting them from the records management from Eric Mitchell. I think that's an issue that needs to be addressed. On top of that, I still have not ever had my public records request for that answered. So in doing so, I found a letter that was attached. It was penned by Dr. Lee Hale. It is dated that same exact day, on September 14th. And it's explaining that Cody Martin didn't understand when his suspension started and that the HR department had mishandled it and that Charlie Morello didn't do anything wrong because he actually knew and interpreted the order correctly, but everybody else in Okaloosa County School District didn't. So because my public records request was never answered, we now have a violation of school board policy for public records request, which is under 01-25. In that, you will find under section, can I finish what I was saying?
Finish that statement.
Yeah, I'll finish that statement. It is under, so you can reference this and you might want to take a note, procedure for accepting and processing public records request, and it's under E, paragraph 4. It says the district will not create records in order to respond to a records request, but will provide existing records in whatever form those records exist.
Thank you. Mr. Marion, you want to speak on the same item, 8.6?
Yes, Greg Marion, address on file. Just to finish that thought, public records are supposed to be made available so people can have faith in their institutions and that there's transparency in those institutions. When documents are made up magically on the same day as a records request, it does not lend faith that our taxpayer dollars and the people who are supposed to be educating our children and managing our resources are doing their due diligence to do the right thing when nobody's watching. It shouldn't take concerned citizens writing $157 checks to the Department of Education to find out information that is right here in our home schools. Additionally, we've been at this school board countless times asking questions about things like teacher discipline, and the standard canned answer is we can't discuss ongoing investigations. Yet, we get information all the time through back channels, Principal Morello sending us answers to questions. We need to start following the rules, both in what's going on a daily basis, as well as how we handle the aftermath of what goes on when people don't follow the rules.
Thank you. Mrs. Marion, you wanted to address 11.1.
Okay, agenda item 11.1 is attorney business. This is in regard to another public records request that I did on the 14th of September. I'm addressing this under the attorney because we have an issue, again, with the public records request not being adhered to. I've heard from nobody, and it's beyond 30 days. In regard to that public record request, this is what I requested. I said, please send any and all phone records, text messages, emails, or any annotations of personnel communications between school board member Dr. Diane Kelly and Dr. Lee Hale, Okaloosa County School District Assistant Superintendent over HR, regarding Diane Kelly's verbal or written request for records, specifically an Okaloosa County School District and an Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office report regarding the investigation of teacher Pauline Baez completed in 2021 regarding the Rated R movie being shown and provided to students at Niceville High School. This communication request for the records that was between Dr. Kelly and Dr. Hale is annotated in the state records under 2 investigations that were done by the state's attorney's office as well as the Commission on Ethics. I still have not had anybody respond to that public records request for some kind of documentation that shows me exactly what Dr. Lee Hale told the investigator, that he was requested by Dr. Diane Kelly to give those records to her. There's conflicting statements that are made in state investigations, and it's done by Dr. Diane Kelly. Lee Hale has maintained the same the whole time. It leaves me questioning a lot.
Mr. Marion, 11.1.
Yes, my wife just spoke on conflicting statements, and I'll tell you that as a citizen, it is very disheartening to watch you disregard her comments and look at Dr. Hale and shake your head no and completely dismiss it. Had we been given the opportunity, and not time limited, we could break out all the investigations and tell the multiple different stories that were told, the multiple different investigations that have been used to clear your actions on legal matters. And it's very disheartening to be completely disregarded.
Mrs. Marion, you wanted to speak to item 12.
Agenda item 12 is superintendent business. I received a letter on July 29th, 2022. Here's the letter. This is from the superintendent, Marcus Chambers. In this letter, he says, Dear Miss Marion, the Okaloosa County School District takes seriously the protection of personal identifiable information of students in accordance with the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, and that goes through the U.S. codes. As you are aware, personal documents which contain some personal identifiable information relating to your child were provided, and subsequently excerpts from the documents were released to Crestview Community Television. The documents initially provided have been returned to the district for safekeeping and are in a district's possession. The district deeply regrets and apologizes that this occurred. Additionally, I am making demand that Crestview Community TV return the excerpts from which it was provided. I will keep you apprised of the results of that effort. If you have any further questions regarding this incident, please feel free to contact me. I have contacted Mr. Chambers. We have met on occasion. I think it was in March this past year. I also did a request for an investigation and for the results of that investigation into the findings of how all this happened. I have got nothing from Okaloosa County School District. Nothing. I have had to find everything out about this through the state's attorney's office when I had to file a complaint there. I had to find out through Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office when I had to file a complaint there. I had to find out through the Commission on Ethics when I had to file a complaint there. If you think this is appropriate that citizens of this community and parents of children in these school districts have to run this rat race to figure out what is going on, not only to safeguard their own child's information, but to let the community here know what is going on. This is completely inappropriate. Nobody has ever said a word to me. I am deeply offended. My daughter is deeply offended, who you know I have pulled from this school district, and she's now going to Liberty University, dual enrollment. I'm scared to bring her back in January, by the way, so that she can graduate in May with Niceville High School. I am scared of what's going to happen to her because every time I come here and speak, something else happens. When is it going to end? I want a phone call from somebody to tell me how the investigation went, Mr. Chambers, for the letter that you sent me. I have heard nothing from anybody. Actually, I don't want a phone call. I want it in writing.
Mr. Marion, item 12.
We've heard multiple stories. We heard in the Cody Martin case, if you spend the $157, you'll get the things that say the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department didn't prosecute him for grabbing a girl's wrist and putting bruises that the principal acknowledged seeing because there was conflicting stories. Well, there's conflicting stories. Dr. Kelly, you went on Crestview Community Television not as a campaign event, yet it's clearly read on the banner that you're a candidate for school board. You said you were defending it for the school district in one report, and another report says you got the documentation regarding the investigation for personal use. However, there's no documentation of the call to Dr. Hale that Dr. Hale provides in his testimony to an investigator. And when you were asked why, when you walked down to the HR department, you just walked in the door and magically you were given records because it was known. It was known, yeah, because you called.
Mr. Marion, are you addressing an agenda item?
Yes, I am. Attorney business. The legal ramifications of not properly documenting the handover of child's protected information. Yeah, that's a legal matter.
Right, but there's not an item on the agenda about that I know.
It's attorney business. It's something you should probably look into.
That's fine, but please address items on the agenda if you have one.
I've been addressing this item on the agenda for a long time, sir. It'd be nice if you could get a straight story.
That brings us to section 6, committee and staff reports. That was for the workshop only. So that brings us to section 7, consent agenda. So I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Moved by Mr. Bryant. I need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Gardner. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. That brings us to section 8, superintendent's human resources recommendation. 8.1 and 8.2 were information only. We heard from the workshop this morning. 8.3, employment separations, presented by Dr. Hale.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. White. Dr. White? I
I'll
need a
second
second.
it.
Seconded by Mr. Bryant. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carried unanimously. 8.4, personnel recommendations, presented by Dr. Hale.
I'll move it.
Moved by Ms. Gardner. I need a
Second.
second. Seconded by Dr. White. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. 8.5, employee transfers, presented by Dr. Hale.
I'll move it.
Moved by Ms. Gardner. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bryant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that carries unanimously as well. 8.6, employee suspension. Need a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bryant.
Second.
Second by Dr. White. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. 8.7, employee termination, presented by Dr. Hale.
I'll move it.
Moved by Dr. White. I need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Gardner. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carried unanimously. 8.8, reinstatement, reimbursement of sick leave due to line of duty illness, injury, or medical exam, presented by Dr. Hale.
I'll move it.
Moved by Ms. Gardner. I need a
Second.
second. Seconded by Dr. White. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that carries unanimously. 8.9, leave without pay, presented by Dr. Hale.
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Bryant.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gardner. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carried unanimously. That brings us to section 9. We have no item moved to discussion. And that brings us to Section 10, Construction Program Owners Representatives Business. 10.1, we had a wonderful report this morning at the workshop. Did you want to add anything tonight, Mr. Bryant?
No, ma'am. Hopefully y'all got to look at the report.
We did.
It was.
It was. Lots of good things happening. Thank you to our citizens for the half-cent sales tax. That brings us to 10.2, Program Number 6, Task Order Number 22, Scope Modification for District-Wide ADA Sidewalks and Parking Lot Striping.
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Bryant.
Second.
Second by Dr. White. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. 10.3, TPM Program Number 6, Task Order Number 30, Scope Modification Number 2, Construction of New Electrical Services to Lewis School and Crestview High School with upgrades to Niceville High School.
I'll move it.
Moved by Ms. Gardner.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bryant. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. 10.4, Program Number 6, Task Order Number 41, Time and Materials Task Order, District-Wide Food Service Upgrades. Need
Move
a-
it.
Moved by Mr. Bryant.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gardner. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. 10.5, Program Number 6, Task Order Number 42, Time and Materials Task Order, Prior Middle School Flooring Replacement.
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Bryant.
Second.
Second by Dr. White. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. That brings us to Section 11, Attorney's Business.
I have one item tonight is the annual review of the contract. We discussed that this morning, so it's here
Okay.
for your consideration tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, I'll move that we approve.
Second.
Second by Dr. White. All in favor?
Aye.
And that carries unanimously. That brings us to 12, Superintendent's Business.
Thank you, Madam Chair and School Board. As you know, we presented information this morning from some of the grants that we're looking at dealing with virtual reality and CTE, to our partnership with Florida Power and Light with the electrical cars, as well as going over the new FSA cut scores, the threat management training, and also giving a school bus replacement update, to name a few. And I do not have anything further at this time, so thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for those updates this morning. Those were fantastic. That brings us to Section 13, Board Members' Announcements and/or Requests for Information. I'll start with Ms. Gardner.
Thank you. This morning I mentioned about the Silver Sands Fish Fry that will be this Friday, $10 a plate from 5 to 6:30. And I wasn't actually sure where the big game, Fort Walton, Choctaw, was being held, and it will be at Fort Walton Beach High School. So you're just right down the road, I think about 3 blocks, and you can fill your tummy up and walk down to there, and it will be an exciting game that we look forward to. So the game is at Fort Walton Beach High School. And either Dr. White or I will be wearing the other team's colors. And I said, I don't wear green. I'm joking. That's all, Dr. Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you. And we miss Ms. Ivanchuk tonight. We hope she's feeling better. Mr. Bryant.
No comments except for this morning.
Thank you. Dr. White.
Well, just my remarks this morning about Choctawhatchee style marchers, and Ms. Gardner, that's exactly right. That game was called The Game for a reason back in the day, and I know you well remember, and of course it will be hosted by the Vikings.
It will be. I remember the days that they had to bring in bleachers on the ends, and I mean,
That's
it
right.
was the game.
That's
So
right.
it's going to be exciting. Both teams are doing very well this year, so let's have a good game and everybody be safe.
Yes, ma'am.
All
That's
good
all I
things.
have.
Thank you. What I love about all of it is that we are all supporting our schools, but we are all really on Team Okaloosa.
Dr. Kelly, one other announcement. In about 25 minutes, they're going to be doing the all-county chorus.
I know.
So as soon as we're done, I know some of us are going to drive over, so looking forward to hearing
That's
musical
going to be
talents.
a good one as well. All right, and I don't have any others other than those I mentioned this morning, so that will move us into Section 14, Public Comment, the yellow card versions. Thank you. And our first one is Delsina Beatty. Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank
Good
you.
evening.
Just checking to see, are we good for the rules?
Yes, ma'am.
2 minutes. Thank you. Just check in.
You're good.
Good evening, Dr. Kelly, board members. Delsina Beatty, Box 1016, Crestview, Florida. Sergeant, United States Air Force, retired. Discrimination based on sex, which includes gender, is against federal law. It includes Title VII and Title IX, both which apply to the school district. They prohibit discrimination based on any one of those characteristics, which include that. The 14th Amendment prohibits states from violating an individual's rights for due process and equal protection, which refer back to that. The whole point of this is to identify that there is a group in the community, that are transgender. And Trevor's Project, the world's largest suicide prevention organization for LGBTQ youth, made a statement in 2018, nearly half of all transgenders attempt suicide by the age 25. That's 50%. Okaloosa County has about 27,000 kids, students. And if we do the math, that's about 150 students over the course of their life, may attempt that. And for me, one's too many. Kaylee Elise Johnson is a friend of a friend, and she was 30 years old when she jumped off an overpass in California because she wasn't accepted. To me, that's unacceptable, and therefore I'm here before you to hope that one day that love and acceptance can be had for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Marion.
Since none of my public records requests are being honored when I do them via the website, I'm doing this verbally as per the school board policy as allowed. So please take notes. Please email any and all discipline filings and findings. Those would be complaints filed, discipline records, notes, investigator records, law enforcement reports, etc. Anything regarding teacher, Coach Samuel Cody Martin. This would include any communications, email, phone records, notes, letters, complaints, formal equity complaints, investigations, text messages, etc. from any OCSD employee. That would be a principal, an assistant principal, a teacher, another teacher, a superintendent, HR, regarding Mr. Martin's violation of the court order on or about 5 and 6 June 2023 regarding case number 21-0387-RT, filed March 8th, 2023. Because I'm reading this letter that I got from doing my DOD request that was from Okaloosa County School District, Dr. Lee Hale, that he sent to, I believe it was the discipline department for the personnel file on Samuel Cody Martin, saying that he didn't understand the violation. So I'm asking for that email that he said, Dr. Lee Hale said he received on the 8th of March from the Department of Education regarding Martin's final orders. I'm asking for all communications from when he was briefed, when Coach Martin was briefed. I want to know when Charlie Morello was briefed. I want to know when HR was briefed. I want to know when the superintendent was briefed on his 3 months of suspension, and I want to know when this board was briefed. I want all that in writing. Teacher discipline for the agenda, anything that happened on that agenda when you guys decided what that discipline was going to be, which was 5 days from Okaloosa County School District, which the DOE came down and gave him 3 months of suspension without pay. Thank you.
Mr. Marion.
Sorry, Craig Marion, address on file. I had to go back and get the agenda just to clarify something that I was interrupted last time here, which I didn't appreciate. Under attorney business, 11.1 is consideration of recommendations. So I recommend we handle private information a lot better than we have in the past, considering the man to your right had to write a letter of an apology to our family. So please don't interrupt me and try to silence me again. Okay. It would be nice if in the harmonious and unanimous vibe we have here where everybody agrees and everyone gets along. Maybe if the superintendent recommended that somebody reach out to us and give us information that we've been begging for a year and a half, maybe you all could agree that we could get that information. The last school board we were at was in January. Ms. Garner, who just had to step out, went around the room at her closing comments and talked about how great the follow-up is and how great this school district is because they follow up and they do the tough things to follow up. Well, my wife just stood up here and talked several times about the fact that we're not getting follow-up. I'll remind you, ma'am, that over a year and 3 months ago, you told me you'd call me next week to set up an appointment to talk about why you disparaged my daughter, why you told people that the teacher did nothing wrong on a teacher that has been suspended. I reminded you of that in January. I've yet to have you contact me to set up a call. So again, if we're going to claim that we do a great job following up, we actually have to follow up.
Do we have any other yellow cards, Miss Mary? Is that it? Thank you. Is there any other information or announcement from the staff? And I don't see union representatives here. Anything else for the good of the order? With that, we are adjourned. Thank you for your time and attention.